Unlock your potential with a comprehensive suite of investing tools and expert education with GammaEdge. Start your free 14-day trial today.
Hey guys, Taylor with GammaEdge here, coming at you with a quick liquidity stock review for November 13th, 2023. First thing I wanted to hit on was going over the market structure heat maps. Here we have the indices. First thing I wanted to point out was Friday. We saw the above and below spot price delta planes both all shift back to green. You can see that here they were in the yellow, which means in the money calls and the money puts were dominating. However, we do have in the money calls, out of money calls now dominating. So kind of as a backdrop for the market that is constructive. Now let's look at the liquidity stocks real quick. Here we have Apple green, Amazon green, Google green, looking at Meta green, Microsoft green, Netflix green, NVDA green, Tesla is yellow. So yeah, so I realized there's other stocks that are just hit on the Magnificent 7 real quick. That is what we are almost familiar with. So now if we go look at here, looking at Apple first, looking at the full complex, you'll see sitting right on top of transition 182.5. Spot price is closer to 186 or closer to 187.50, but then plus GEX here is 190. You can see in the money, out of the money, call dominated. That's pretty obvious here. Looking at this week's expiration, 185 is plus GEX. Do you have structure built out to 190? And then looking at with next week's expiration, plus GEX actually does shift up to 190. Here, let me just bring in the chart real quick for you guys, just give you some additional context. Yeah, chart, so been on a heck of a run. 190 is somewhere up here, just as an FYI. And then, looking at the GEX ratio, kind of middle of the range since July, so, nothing too extended and whatnot there. So that is Apple. Moving on to Tesla. Tesla, plus GEX, 217.50. Really not a ton else to say here. This one was yellow, which means in the money, really just a lot of mixture of calls and puts above and below spot price. So not as constructive as some of the other ones. When you look at the chart, it certainly looks that way too. We'll hit on that in a second. So 217.50 plus GEX. Just this week's expiration, bringing in next week's expiration. Really, structure does not change. Let's go look at that chart real quick that I was talking about. Yeah, you'll see most of the stocks we're going to review are really V bottoms from a local low. Somewhere near or close to the July highs. This one is kind of the opposite pattern: lower lows, lower highs. So if you're looking to get long, this is not the best stock to be looking at. Here, if we look at the GEX ratio is middle of the range to kind of lower third of the range, so nothing super concerning there, I guess, if you're trying to get long this stock. Next, looking at Microsoft. Microsoft has been a massive gainer over the last couple of weeks. Let's just pull this up. Yeah, this one's at all-time highs. Looking at the looking at the Gamma, looking at the dashboard. Really, last couple of weeks we've been hit on this. This one has been persistently green and big green numbers in the money. Out of the money call dominated. 370 is plus GEX. However, just look at the pervasiveness of calls all the way up the structure, really to 400. Looking at this week's expiration, 370. But again, if we get going, structure is built out to go higher. Looking at bringing in next week's expiration, not a ton of change to the structure. So one thing to note, GEX ratio is quite high to the upside. So the rubber band is decently stretched up there. So the significant move has been made in this stock. I'd be surprised if it continues to rip and rip and rip, but certainly could do that. So that is Microsoft for you. Now looking at NVIDIA real quick. So NVIDIA in the money, out of the money call dominated. 500 is our upside target, which is plus GEX. Again, a lot of calls up and down the structure. Looking at this week's expiration, 500, good target to the upside. Again, bringing in next week's expiration, not a ton of change to structure. One thing I will note is, risk to reward from P-Trans to plus GEX is dang near 1-to-1, so not super favorable, I guess, risk to reward being in the middle of the range. Nonetheless, this stock does look constructive. Looking at the GEX ratio itself, since July, kind of middle of the range, middle to upper part of the range is something to be cognizant of there. Then that's just of there. Last one we're going to look at is Amazon. Yeah, Amazon, this one continues to look constructive in the money, out of the money. Call dominated, you'll see we're sitting right above P-Trans. Plus GEX is the target for this one at 150. Bringing in this week's expiration, 145 is plus GEX. Do have structure at 150 built out. And then looking at bringing in next week's expiration, really not much of a change to structure. Looking at GEX ratio is kind of middle of the range here since July, so that is constructive to see. And looking at the chart itself, yeah, I mean, up near all-time highs, had another heck of a move. So, wrapping things up. Those were the 5 stocks we looked at. Kind of what Gamma Structure was saying. Gamma Delta, then GEX ratios, looking at price chart itself. So hopefully this was helpful for y'all, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.